Okay, this week's video, 10 things to look for in a property manager for your short-term rental. You have a property, you wish to take it onto the short-term rental market. You're either decided, yes, I will have a manager, or you're trying to judge whether or not I will have one and how will that work, what do I need to look for. What I would suggest is don't just go for basic numbers. When you're sitting with a property manager, you need to find out more. So what I've done is I've put out 10 tips or hints or suggestions for you is when you're looking and evaluating having a property manager for your short-term rental, these are the things that you could ask that person to judge whether or not they're the best person for your property. Number one, it's probably actually the most important. It sounds funny, but is the property manager full-time or part-time at doing this? Now, I'm not wishing to be harsh on small operators, people who just have your property or another property and do it as a part-time, do it as an extra income earner, do it for some other reason. But your property is a principal asset. You've got it listed as a means of financial return to help pay it off, to help you with your financial commitments, to help pay your loan, to help with rates, to help with whatever. You're after someone who can dedicate their time and resources to your property. Now, it doesn't matter whether or not they've got 5 properties or 105 properties, but as long as they're at it full time and that's what they do. There are a number of people who manage properties, they have other jobs, they have other things. This is a sideline, this is an extra. Clearly, you can't run anything well if you're doing it like that. So number one, if they're not doing it full time, that would be a red rag to me and I'd stop immediately. Number 2 of the tips for you for when you're speaking to a property manager about managing your property. This one goes very much in conjunction with number 1. When you're speaking to the property manager, and the next thing you would need to know is what staff do they have? What roles do these people, if any, have in the business? As this is a business that operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, who is it that works on the business and will be managing your property? The reason I say that is, when it's a sole operator, what happens when they have holidays? They're sick, they were injured, and there's something happened to a family member, child, someone else, they're unable to work. For the management of a major asset of yours, minimisation of risk is ensuring that you have someone who has staff and people in place to ensure that this operates every single day of the year and makes money for you every day. Unfortunately, if it's a solo entrepreneur and someone doing it, how do you do that? Number 3, the pricing of your property. Obviously, pricing is important. When you ask your intended property manager, what you're asking with pricing is, how do you determine the price? How do you work that out? And once you found that out, how do you manage it on a day-to-day basis? For instance, today, the property's not rented for tonight. It's rented tomorrow night, but not tonight. What are you going to do about pricing or strategies to have that rented tonight? Is there anything? Is there anything in place? Is there something manually that happens by you or a staff member? If so, how often? If it's a software-driven solution and it does it, how often does it do that? How does it work? How do they determine the price? So what you're really wanting to know is get to the bottom of how they price it, how they come up with the numbers, how you can maximise the return on your property. When you speak to people, it's not, yes, the range is from $200 to $300 a night. That means nothing. What you want to know is, in the normal week, non-holiday, non-Easter, non-school holidays, non-Christmas, etc., what would my Sunday to Thursday range be? And so, say for instance, they were saying it's 120 to 140 for Sunday to Thursday. Okay, what would be my normal range for a Friday night? What would be my range for a Saturday night? What would be my range for public holidays? What would be my range for Easter? What would be my range for school holidays? What is my range for Christmas, New Year? What's my range for when there's special events on? So what we're looking at is to ensure that they're pricing the property properly so you'll get the maximum returns on your asset. Fourth thing to consider, when speaking with and interviewing and selecting a property manager is photos. Having a look at a selection of the photos on their properties that they already manage. What quality are they? What are they like? How do they appear? Do they show the property off? What you're wanting to ask and find out is who takes the photos? Are they taken by the manager? Are they taken on the manager's phone, iPad, etc.? Are they taken as professional photos? If they are professional photos, are they taken by an Airbnb savvy photographer? For instance, we've had properties come to us, been previously managed elsewhere, and they've had beautiful photos that are taken by a professional photographer but are completely useless for Airbnb. 3-bedroom house, beautiful photos of vase, a lamp, a nightstand, a side table, beautiful photos, but not one of the bedroom, not one of the kitchen. The kitchen was a photo from the corner of the lounge room. You could see the kitchen down in the distance. There wasn't a photo of the layout of the kitchen showing the amenities of the kitchen. These are the practical things you need out of great photos. Also, obviously the internal photos, the external photos, outside garden, pool, spa, other features that outdoor dining, etc., that you need to, because that's your window to the guests. That's what guests will look at, and that's what guests will have as their means of judging, one of the principal means of judging your property. The photos, if they don't show those things, it dramatically hinders the performance of your property. The other thing to keep in mind is people booking your property, more often than not, are not locals. They're people that have travelled from nearby cities, capital cities, interstate, overseas. So not only do they want to look at your property, show me a drone photo. Will they take drone photos? If so, how many do they take? You can write all the pros that you want about how close it is to the beach, but here's a drone photo showing your house, and there's the water just there. And you don't need to say anything. It's obvious in the photo. There's a killer one, beautiful. The other thing with external photos of local shops, coffee shops, other attractions, because people who don't know about your area look at the photos, see the property, see the area, see the attractions, and that's part of the photo package. So a good property manager should be suggesting to you that your range of photos is wider than just the internal ones taken at that property. Number 5, what suggestions, if any, does the manager have for the styling and the bed configuration of your property? And by that, I mean, you don't need to spend a fortune on styling the property, buying expensive furniture, but what you're looking for off the property manager is what suggestions do you have that could improve the property in improving the listing, improving the look, improving the booking numbers and occupancy, and improving what we can charge per night. These don't need to be expensive or excessive, but just practical things. Now, what is it they can suggest for you? For instance, we've got over 60 properties. We've got multi-million-dollar waterfront properties, and we've got some of those that have been furnished completely off Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace. The owners haven't had to spend a fortune on expensive, but what they've done is they've selectively bought very good pieces, and it's been styled very well. You certainly can use a stylist for it, but when you're speaking to your property manager, what are their suggestions? When I mentioned bed configuration, why is that important? Well, I'll give you practical. If your property was a 2-bedroom apartment, and you might think, all right, we'll stick a queen bed and a queen bed, done. Now, inspecting the property, what would a good property manager tell you? And they may give you a number of options. For instance, bedroom 1 with an ensuite is quite large. We would fit a king bed in there. You don't have a bed yet, so I would suggest king bed. It's premium, it's large, it has an ensuite, it gives your property greater value, it is better in listings. Straight away, it's a king bed with an ensuite, premium. If you don't fit it, we've gone to a queen. That's okay. We go to bedroom 2. Some people's thing is straight away, let's put a queen in there, therefore we can have 2 couples staying. Okay, but that restricts us to either 2 individuals staying or 2 couples staying. Let's say in the second bedroom, for this area, for this type of property, instead we put 2 king single beds. Therefore, we could have a couple staying and another couple, which they have a king single each. Therefore, we have 4. We could have a couple and 2 singles. We could have people on a work trip and have 3 guys, 1 in the main bedroom and 2 and 3 in the 2 singles. What you've got to look for is, what's my configuration that will give me the maximum variety of choice for different options and people who are staying. For instance, couple stay, 2 children, teenage boy, teenage girl. Queen bed is not going to cut it, they won't book it. But queen bed, king single, no problem. They will stay. So you've got to look for this property, what is the best configuration for the size of the property, for the clientele, and for whatever, because that can make a significant difference to your overnight rate that you charge and obviously your profits you gain over the course of the year. Definite questions to ask your property manager. Number 6, cleaning. We often say guests will forgive a lot of things. They'll forgive the weather, they will forgive traffic, they will forgive all sorts of things. They won't forgive a property that's dirty. Cleaning is paramount. The fact that the property is pristine clean, attended to, and is set out on a consistent basis to be cleaned in a systematic, professional manner is paramount. Therefore, when you're speaking to the property manager, who cleans the property for them? Obviously a cleaner, but what I mean was, does the cleaner work for them? Does the cleaner work for an external cleaning company? Is it the same cleaner each time? If they're only managing 1 or 2 properties, how can we guarantee that that cleaner will be the same one that does it each time when we could have people checking out any one of 7 days a week? So how are you maintaining consistency? If they're an external cleaning company, who checks on the property? Who checks on the clean? Who ensures that the property is clean as it should? Nothing should be left to chance or memory. What do they do to ensure consistency of cleaning? For instance, at our business, we have 30 plus cleaners. We have an A4 double-sided laminated sheet with every single solitary thing that has to be done every time at each property. So there is no deviation. There's no, I'm not sure. Do we do the barbecue here? Do we not do? Whatever it is, we have it listed, broken down on the sheet, and that's what the cleaners have to do. Now, I'm not saying that's what they have to do, your property manager, but what you need to find out is, what do they do to ensure that today it's great, tomorrow they cleaned it, it's terrible. The cleaner didn't empty the fridge, didn't empty the garbage under the sink, didn't leave spare toilet rolls, didn't, whatever. How do you ensure high quality every single time? Because ratings and comments for poor cleaning will kill your listing. The other thing you should ask a property manager in regards to cleaning, what's the procedure if a guest checks in and there's a cleaning problem at the property? If they check in and one of the bedrooms, for instance, the cleaners thought that the beds hadn't been used and they were fine, they didn't check them, didn't pull them back and didn't replace the sheets, and they had been used by a guest, and when the guest has pulled them back for their child to sleep in and had a toy, sand, a book, whatever, or it could have been there are dirty dishes, there could have been the dishwasher wasn't run, it could have been any one of a number of things. What do they do if there's a problem and something was missed by a cleaner? What will they do to ensure that the guest visit goes through, that you're not docked 30% of your accommodation because of the clean? What's the procedure? What will happen? If they don't know and they can't tell you, obviously that should be flagged. This should be a known procedure. What do we do? Number 7. Number 7 is linen. Linen, once again, follows after cleaning. Linen is paramount because guests staying expect high quality linen that is clean, freshly laundered, crisp start and looks great. Some property managers ask that the owners purchase the linen and then they wash it, return it, and that sort of procedure. Other people like we will not do that. We only use linen service linen, same as all the hotels. High quality, all done properly, comes straight out of our warehouse and storage, and we have linen deliveries 3-4 times a week. So the linen, what is it they do for linen, and how's it organised, how's it washed, how's it cleaned, where does it come from. The other complaint that we have when we have people move from a property manager to us is all of this linen, quite expensive. First property, they purchased it a lot, it was expensive. What they found over the course of 6 or 12 months, that each time the linen left, it was laundered by the property manager and however they did it, and then it was returned, it was never their linen. It was always be someone else's linen. So now they've got this selection of mixed linen of an inferior quality, and they're quite upset because they spent all this money on beautiful linen and it's no longer there. Now I sympathise with the property manager because maybe they're too small, the linen service won't deal with them, and they're trying to do their best, but to do it properly, you need a linen service linen. Number 8, technology. What technology does the manager use in all aspects of managing your property? Do they use a property management system? That's software for managing the property, the guests, communication, messaging, emails, text messages. That's software that allows them to book on multiple platforms and make sure that the calendars are synced and you don't overbook there with guests on 1 or 2 platforms all having bookings at the same time. Do they use software for pricing? Do they use software for screening of guests and the guests' possible bad past behaviour? Do they give you access to an owner's portal showing you calendar, bookings, payments, invoices for any trades that have worked there? What other software do they use in the business? We probably use 20 to 25 different pieces of software to ensure things are run in a professional manner. What you're looking for here is how do they operate, and just find out more. It's just a question to ask and find out. And if it's running in Excel and it's on whatever, is that the professional way that you want yours to be run? Just ask the question, find out. If you're happy with it, fine, move on to the next. Number 9, maintenance. Does your property manager have a maintenance person on staff? What's their access to a wide variety of different trades? For instance, we have 45 different trades that we use for any problems that occur at a property. And because we have long-term relationships with all of these people for their speciality and the fact that we pay them every Wednesday, we tend to get things done very quickly. But what you're asking with your property manager is, what's your lineup of trades and people who can do work? If I want work done there, can you suggest a handyman? Can you suggest a builder? Can you suggest a carpenter? Can you suggest a plumber, an electrician, etc., etc., etc.? There's a whole variety of people. There's a marble bench top has a small chip on it. Do you have access to that specialist who will come out to a property where it's either a marble or a synthetic hard surface, and they will replace the little chip thing with another substance, colour it, have it the same, you'll never know there's any problem. Do you have access to that sort of thing? These are all the things that you need to be looking for because you're after someone who will look after and maintain your property. Number 10, this has become, we've been doing this, 8 years. This 8 years ago was not a very big issue. Now it is a huge issue and something that you should be aware of, and you should be making sure that your manager find out how do they cater for it. How do they verify the guest identity? Someone goes online, they book with Airbnb. Well, Airbnb will verify that their name is real against their driver's license and mobile. So you know that much. If they're with Booking.com and with Stays, they don't verify identities. So someone could make up and say, they're Paul Smith, and there's my email, and there's a mobile. Email's not, goes to a Gmail that's just been set up. Mobile doesn't work, and it's not someone's real name. How do we verify that? How do we verify that the credit card for payment is real and is not stolen, is not used for other purposes? We go to extensive lengths on every single guest to verify them, to verify their name, to verify that their credit card that they've used for payment is their credit card linked to their name. We also receive their driver's license. Everything's about verification. We verify their mobile. We send a text to their mobile and get and them to text the number back. What you're after is to make sure before a person enters the property that we're confident that the person who booked the property is the person that we have all the details for. There are many instances where we're challenging people on their identity and chasing these details who then cancel a booking and disappear. I'd suggest that they're people whose identity they couldn't prove and may have intentions for party or other ideas at your property. So number one, you must verify the guests, their phone number and all their other details. Why are they coming, who's coming, how many people, etc. Does your manager use an external guest checking software to check there's a past history of bad behaviour? There are a number of services where groups like us, hotels, motels, all log a guest, their mobile, their phone number, their details, and if they've done something wrong, even if they've just left it dirty, we will log that as a complaint, and that will then appear on any guest booking as it comes through. Do they have that? Are they paying for that? Do they have access to that? The other thing you want to know is, what do they do to check for a noise at the property when the guests are at the property? Or do you only find out later when the guests have gone and the neighbours are all ringing you or ringing the manager? What do they have in place to make sure? For instance, we have noise alarms at properties. Not all of them, but certainly the larger ones where owners are happy to do that. Noise alarms don't measure conversations, they simply measure volumes. And once we have it set at 75 decibels, once it gets to 75 dB, it rings our management phones and says there is a problem with this property. It has to be 75 decibels for 10 minutes. Once there's that, it rings and then we can act upon it. The other clever thing it does, it counts how many people are at the property. It does that by counting the Bluetooth signals off everyone's mobile phones. So if the property sleeps 4 and all of a sudden you get an alert saying there's 6 at the property, 7, 8 at the property, you know there's a problem, you ring the guest, you act upon it, they either reduce numbers, do something, or you go around and you terminate their staff. But when you're talking to your manager that you're going to have, what do? Is it, we just hope it's all right. We've taken their booking and we just hope everything goes well. It's what someone I heard once call it the breath on the mirror test. And what that means by that is, I'd like to book as a guest. Can you breathe on the mirror? Fine. You're in. Thanks very much. Clearly, this is a major asset for you. There's a major element of risk. Everything is about managing the property, managing the risk, ensuring high return. You need someone who's got great attention to detail on those things. So when you're interviewing the person for your property management, for goodness sake, make sure you check that. Hopefully, those 10 items I've run through are a great help to you. If you're looking for a property manager on the Sunshine Coast, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us at Sunny B&B. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.